MERUTTA.com.
Do you hate Richelieu, or do you hate what he created? We were taught to recognize him by his costume, the red robe, the cold stare, the whisper of spies. The story is convenient. France supposedly ruled by a single sinister mind standing behind a weak king. It is a brilliant narrative, almost flawless, and perhaps the most convenient myth the 17th century left behind. But allow a more uncomfortable question. What if your hostility is not directed at a man, but at the very idea of the state? The real Richelieu is harder to dramatize. He is not a theatrical villain. He is an engineer of power, a man who does not charm a nation, but quietly restructures it. The state is not romantic. It is paperwork, surveillance, taxation, obedience, endurance. It is a mechanism that outlives personalities. It is power that does not ask to be loved. So whom do you hate, Richelieu, or the birth of the modern state? There are historical figures around whom time weaves legends so tightly that reality fades. Richelieu is one of them. Romantic literature made him a ready-made villain, as if one cold mind could explain an entire century. It spares us the deeper truth. France was not simply ruled differently, it was being reorganized from within as authority moved from personal theater to sustained administrative practice. The France Richelieu entered was already a kingdom with long institutional traditions, yet it was not operating with the degree of administrative coherence that would later define it. The nobility guarded privilege almost as a form of private sovereignty. Provinces clung to exemptions. Religious division remained close enough to civil war to feel like a permanent threat. Royal authority existed, but it functioned unevenly, often dependent on proximity, favor, and sudden gestures rather than on a stable, bureaucratic rhythm. Richelieu did not arrive as a melodramatic conspirator. He emerged as an answer to a structural risk: disintegration. Armand Jean Duplessis was born into old nobility without secure wealth. His name carried status, but not safety. His father died when he was young, and the family's position became precarious. From such beginnings, one learns early that continuity requires structure. He was meant for a military life. Fragile health redirected him. Illness imposed discipline, routine, restraint, endurance. The church became not an escape, but an avenue, a sphere where education, rhetoric, and intelligence could compensate for financial vulnerability, and where learning could be translated into authority. He studied seriously. Theology intertwined with law, history, and political argument. Words were not ornament, they were instruments. He understood that knowledge properly applied could function as power. As Bishop of Lausanne, he governed a poor and weakened diocese. There he absorbed a principle that would later scale to the kingdom itself. Institutions without continuous oversight become symbolic. Authority must operate consistently to remain real. By the time he entered the Royal Council in 1624, France was still politically unsettled. Louis XIII had inherited the crown as a child after the assassination of Henry IV. During the regency of Marie de Medici, power at court had been intensely personal, organized around favorites and shifting alliances. Removing a favorite did not create stability, it merely rearranged influence. The partnership between Louis XIII and Richelieu has often been distorted by legend. The king was not a passive figure, and the minister was not a shadow monarch. Their alliance was austere rather than theatrical. Legitimacy joined to method. Louis embodied dynastic sovereignty. Richelieu extended its operational reach. The turning point came in 1630, in what later became known as the Day of the Dupes. For nearly a full day, the court believed Richelieu had fallen. Marie de Medici pressed for his dismissal. Factions recalculated. By evening, his career seemed finished. The following day, the king reaffirmed him. This moment signaled something larger than personal survival. Executive continuity would not yield to factional pressure. The center would hold. Nowhere did his logic provoke more controversy than in matters of religion. In 17th century France, belief was not merely conscience. It was territory, fortification, organized defense. The Edict of Nantes had granted Protestants freedom of worship and, crucially, recognized forms of collective security embedded in fortified towns. For Richelieu, this presented a structural dilemma. Sovereignty could not remain practically divided if rival armed capacities existed within the realm. His objective was not the eradication of Protestant faith. Protestant worship remained legally recognized, but their capacity for organized military autonomy was decisively curtailed. The siege of La Rochelle made this principle visible. The city represented not only religious difference, but political independence. Its fall in 1628 marked the dismantling of Huguenot military privilege. Worship continued, fortified autonomy did not. The most explosive paradox of his career unfolded beyond France. The kingdom faced strategic pressure from Habsburg power, Spain to the south and west, imperial territories to the east. The 30 Years' War, which began in 1618, may have been framed in confessional terms, but it quickly revealed deeper dynamics: dynastic rivalry, territorial ambition, and the struggle for balance. Here lies the apparent scandal. A Catholic cardinal supported Protestant powers against Catholic Habsburg rulers. France first offered subsidies and diplomatic backing, including alliance with Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden. In 1635, it entered open war against Spain. To contemporaries, this seemed betrayal or cynicism. In reality, it followed a consistent logic. The survival of France required preventing continental domination by a single dynasty. Confessional solidarity did not override strategic calculation. This did not yet constitute modern diplomacy in the later sense, but it marked a shift. Alliances increasingly reflected interest and balance, rather than shared creed alone. Richelieu died in December 1642. He did not live to see the Peace of Westphalia in 1648. Yet the Europe that negotiated that settlement had already been shaped by the trajectory he sustained. Habsburg predominance checked, France's strategic position strengthened, sovereignty articulated with greater clarity. After his death, France did not fragment into the kind of enduring noble confederations that had once threatened its stability, even though the following decade would test that resilience severely. The machinery of governance remained operational, imperfect, contested, and under strain, yet structurally intact. That resilience had a cost. War demanded revenue, taxation deepened. Rural communities bore heavy burdens, borrowing expanded, offices were sold, provincial agents coordinated not only administration but extraction. Endurance was achieved, but not without hardship. Modern historians no longer portray Richelieu as either demonic puppet master or omniscient architect. He worked within constraint and uncertainty. He did not invent the modern state, yet he strengthened a form of authority capable of surviving him. He did not seek affection. He left no intimate confession. What he left was a pattern, a monarchy increasingly able to act through sustained administrative coherence rather than episodic force, a center capable of enduring conflict without dissolving into faction. It is easier to believe in a villain in scarlet than to recognize a structural transformation unfolding over decades. Richelieu became a myth because myth is simpler. The reality is more demanding. He did not merely govern. He helped teach France how to endure.
MERUTTA.com